it's down here, don't know. Give it a couple of minutes. Someone might turn up, if not, just popping on to give my opinion, which is what I do. This is what I do on Humanimal channel, is give my opinion on the cases that I follow, and let's see who knows about what's happening, what the latest is. It's actually, you know, it's just another person in a long line of people that, you know, crop up, especially in the last few years, but, you know, people that crop up light. Sorry about that. Living outdoors in Lily Eve for 420. G'day. Have either of you followed the Madeleine? Sorry, just the bad way the lighting is here is really it's really distracting me. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. Have you guys followed Madeleine McCann's case? Okay, so Madeleine McCann went missing from Praia Du Luiz in Portugal from a family holiday, and Madeleine, if she is, or if she was still alive today, she would be 19 years old. Yep, so 2007, okay, and coming up in April, Madeleine would be 19 years old. And of course, there's been a lot of really intense international drama about this case lately, not only to do with Amaral, the detective from the Portuguese police, and the McCann's failed attempt to sue him because he named them Guido, which means that he considered them suspects in the disappearance of their daughter Madeleine. And they didn't like that, of course. Who would, eh? But, you know, they've really let this type of politic get in the way of searching, and all they really seem to do is spend money doing everything but look for Madeleine, even though, you know, Search for Madeleine Fund has had millions run through it. And the other drama was, of course, the ridiculous drama that Hans Christian Walters brought about. I think probably because he's a narcissist and he just wanted some fame. I don't know what his payoff there for this German prosecutor, but he never had interviewed a man called Christian Bruckner. Christian Bruckner was in Portugal at the time of Madeleine McCann's disappearance, but the Portuguese police cleared Christian Bruckner in 2008, but Hans Christian Walters decided to go ahead. Ben Deo, hey Mark, yeah, I'm sure a whole heap of bad things happen in Portugal, but this is the most famous missing persons case, I would say, in the world, the most famous, apart from John Benet Ramsey. And without even interviewing Christian Bruckner, who is already in prison because he's a scumbag and he commits crimes against women and children, he decided to go after him so that the world would believe that, hey, this person has been investigated, charged, trialed and convicted, and none of that happened. What happened was they did dig up property where Christian Bruckner had lived, so a couple of properties, and searched some cars. Interesting fun fact, he had the same type of car that Mark Carr had in John Benet Ramsey case. But anywho, and found nothing, even though they found, devices, electronic devices, storage devices with 8,000 images. So we're talking, CP images pretty much. Not one image of Madeleine McCann, of course, but of course, the damage, so to speak, is done, isn't it? Because, the purpose of these things is just smoke and mirrors and to confuse, and it's funny because the very same stupid people believe that Christian Bruckner has been charged and is in prison now for something to do with Madeleine McCann. They assume that he killed her, and then these same people around the world are going to be the ones that are believing that Julia Faustina of Poland could be Madeleine McCann. There's no logic, there's no stop and just really think about it. What do you know about the facts? It's very frustrating. So I thought I would give a quick opinion about Julia Faustina. So she's a 21-year-old woman who lives in Poland. She's Polish, not German, as has been reported in some places, because of course, that sounds right, doesn't it? It sounds right. I mean, I guess Poland, yeah, Germany, isn't it? But, because people want to make all the wrong connections. Facts don't matter to people. They want sensationalist titillation. And maybe they're on the McCann side, which, hey, nothing, I guess, at a base level wrong with, not wanting to crucify parents who have lost a child. But, people need to stop and think about her, okay? Now this girl, now either she is, she's a troll and she's after attention or something, which I don't believe. I mean, I think we can see that her distress is very real, and she needs help, and she's suffering, and she's in a state of vulnerability, and it's very sad, Mark. So Julia has come on making an Instagram account, something about being Madeleine McCann, and she's trying to contact Jerry and Kate McCann. She wants to take a DNA test and prove that she is Madeleine McCann. And this has come about because I think she's a very troubled girl who I don't think this really has come out of the blue. I mean, it could be a brief psychotic disorder, but it could be coming out of a bipolar personality disorder, a very serious depressive disorder. It could be coming from schizoaffective disorder or schizophrenia. Psychosis can appear at any time for lots of reasons. I have a feeling that the background of this young woman is mired with delusions, with confused thinking, and with delusions, with persecutions, and that she's a very troubled girl, and I think she's going to be used and abused by people who want attention and will feed like vampires off her vulnerability, rather than just absolutely ignoring her and maybe supporting her behind the scenes to get some help. Now, she says her belief that she might be Madeleine McCann has sparked from something her grandmother says. Well, this is how things work for people that are, if you haven't had any of these mental disorders yourself, you don't truly understand, unless you've got a particular education, you don't actually understand how bent things are. It's like looking through water at things, and how you can grasp onto something and something then becomes real, and things just seem to make all sorts of weird sense. But I think Julia is in a state of either mania or psychosis. She's just greatly distressed, and an idea has planted, and she hasn't been able to let it go. And this delusion, it's just all she can think of now, right? And I just wanted to say this, okay, now, well, two things. She's going to have an explanation for everything. Well, people are going to mess with your identification because they want to hide you. So, of course, they're going to say that I'm older, because I understand I'm 21 and Madeleine's going to be 19 in April. But I can tell you what, without a shadow of a doubt, it does not matter if the McCanns grant Julia some sort of DNA comparison test. I don't believe they should. I don't believe she should be fed. I believe she should be helped. And she can be shown all the proofs under the sun. She's saying her mother isn't giving her birth certificate. Her mother could produce a birth certificate for her and she still won't believe it. She will do a DNA test. She will believe that it has been rigged, it's been messed with, there's corruption and things there, because she won't believe it, okay? She's not going to accept it, that it just was negative, okay? I think a lot of people aren't going to understand that. I think that they're looking at a young woman who has serious doubts about her history, because she really has reason to worry about her provenance. And, they're thinking, well, maybe, no, there is reason to think she is adopted, that there was some sort of, she was a stolen baby, or she's coming into the family in some oblique manner which has a shadow over it, right? And that, the fact that she might be Madeleine McCann is, a possibility, a really true possibility. And if only this girl could have that peace of mind to know yay or nay, it will help her. It doesn't help her, it's feeding her. And that kind of, the breaks in logic, when you think that you're being so logical and everything makes sense when you're in psychosis, there are such huge gaps in logic. And it doesn't matter what proofs that Julia Faustina is given, that, she's saying that, various doctors, like medical doctors, psychiatrists, and neurologists, she says urologist, I think she must mean to say neurologist. Do you know how hard it is to get a neurologist to see you? And if you're seeing a neurologist or some sort of, that sort of psychiatrist who works forensically in a certain field with the brain, if you're being seen by someone, you've been seen by a long time, maybe you've got a traumatic brain injury, they're few and far between. They don't just see, you can't just walk in and go and be seen and then get told you've got a clear bill, you're not crazy, you really could be Madeleine McCann. I mean, the girl is, she is bananas, okay, and she needs compassion and help. She needs nobody to fuel the fire. She's suffering as it is, and it needs to be calmed down and not fueled. But sadly now she's on this world stage. Unless she really is very conniving and very deceptive, as in this, she is an actress. She really doesn't know what she's walked into. We all know how hardcore this true crime, I guess, world is, you could say. But she doesn't, and she is extremely vulnerable. And it's the little things that will spark, heterochromia. It's not very common, but that's the name for the what would you say? It's not a flaw, or it's a difference, or Madeleine McCann's got that dark line in her eye, in the bottom of one of her eyes, and Julia does have this too, but there could be 1 million people in the world with that, maybe more. I'm not sure of the odds, should have looked it up. And things like that are going to, it just feeds the psychosis. But there's so much that is flawed. Other features just are not Madeleine's features, even though, look, hey, there is a possibility. Sure, she might be. But I don't believe she is. Her philtrum, the mouth, it's so different. She's very different. Madeleine was not a baby when she was in Praia Du Luiz, and when she disappeared, she was not even a toddler, okay? And she was verbal. She had language skills, and people that take children that are going to keep them alive and have them for their own. Madeleine was too old in that trafficking world like that. She wouldn't be just out living life. That, a child like that, they usually dead within 3 hours if it was an abduction, okay? And if someone wanted to take children to have a child of their own, why didn't they take Emily and Sean, or one of those younger twins, pre-verbal? Because there's a big danger when people take a child that can talk. How do they expect to be in Europe speaking foreign languages, and they've got a child that who knows her name, knows mummy and daddy's name, knows Sean and Emily's name, knows who she is, knows she's Madeleine McCann, can verbalize things, can really make a fuss? What? You just don't have this child visible at all until this child only now speaks very, of course, fluent Polish, like Julia does. It's batshit. Okay, it's batshit. It's not how that seedy, disgusting world works of child or people trafficking for any reason. When people are trying to take people for their own, they're taking babies because they can bring up a baby. It's more likely to be accepted. How would you take Madeleine McCann, whose face was around the world, just like Michael Jackson's, who is verbal? Now people will come up with all sorts of explanations, but they're really just not thinking. They're really just not understanding reality, okay? So this poor girl, but everybody is going to be going, whatever, oh, she might be, oh, I can see it. She deserves to meet the McCanns. They need to know. The McCanns know that Madeleine McCann is dead. Now, that sure might just be the opinion of the Portuguese police force and of a lot of other people all around the world, but okay, it might not be yours or a lot of people watching Julia's. A lot of these people that are going to latch onto this, excuse me, they don't know the case. They don't really know. They just know that this poor family, they lost their daughter. Someone came in through a window. They know nothing about it. They don't know enough. Okay? and maybe naive about all sorts of stuff as well, or they're just very easily triggered, or they just, it's entertainment, isn't it, really? Even if they're being compassionate people and lovely, and, it's exciting to them, okay? And where I come from with anything like this, when that excitement and that just, it's all right, we're just talking about it, we're not doing anything, sorry, but the disrespect to the missing person, the dead person, I can't abide. That's what I can't abide. People just don't seem to get that there is that side of it that is so disrespectful to that real little girl who went through, something horrible, and that is being discarded by her parents, abandoned in a foreign country, and then lied about for another 15 years. And now that the statute of limitation is over, soon, I mean, the McCanns, they've just got to make it. They've just got to make it to May. So they'll probably, maybe they'll humour Julia Faustina, because that statute of limitations is up in May, so they can't sort of drop things and move on. I mean, do people realise how much they have gained personally from carrying out the farce? In status, positions, money. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. The other thing, let me just and of course, the other thing, I guess, we'll be talking about soon, won't we? Probably in 24 hours, maybe earlier, but usually it'll take 24 to 48 hours to officially identify somebody. And I guess we probably are going to get some official news that Nicola Bulley's been found. So 1 mile towards sea, more dog walkers found a body in the River Wyre, and Lancashire police had talked to Nicola Bulley's family, and it's pretty much a given, isn't it, that this is going to be Nicola Bulley. I feel like it's possible that she actually walked along, for whatever reason, the bank to the right of the bench along that river, to beyond the weir, and didn't go on before the weir in the river. Of course, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, where she was found, well, that was very close to the road. So, of course, it's such an easy way out. They've just been gifted somewhere to, discard her remains and it not be suspicious, because the police have been so, certain that the perpetrators, well, of course, all they have to do is dump her in the river and Bob's your uncle. No. Okay? No. Doesn't matter how many examples you give sometimes of people that when they go in the exact river, or the River Derwent, which is nearby, or rivers that are similar systems, time and time again, even smaller rivers and creek systems, time and time again, weeks or months before they're found. That is the nature of it all. Now, the specialist guy from SGI, Specialized Group International, Specialized Groups International or something, he was careful to throw the police in the thick of it as it was weeks ago or days ago, whenever he was doing his search. He said, oh no, I'm going to leave it to the, I'm not doing beyond the where, because hey, they've done there. I'm going to just trust that they've done all right, when we know that police divers, they fail all the time. Okay. So he searched from that where and up. He really made a big show of getting out there and searching upstream from the where, which does include, I guess, in front of that bench, but his team wasn't doing the most thorough search beyond the where, which is, which was the place that she was likely to be, where it's tidal and could take her away downstream. And you think, with the alarm not being raised until 10:50 or what have you, I mean, police weren't out at that scene. It's not like, okay, at 9:33 they were in the river searching. Whatever has happened, if Nicola was in the water from around that time, she's been in there for hours before anyone is in the river, right? So that's a lot of time to get caught in under rocks, or held down by trees, or swept further away than anyone might have thought. Anyway, so it is a terrible outcome. It's not ideal, but of course, I think it's a lot less hellish for a family that, because that type of hope that you're holding on to, that, that is just such a killer. That's got to be being in purgatory, because, you can't let go of that thread of hope, right, for a child, or another loved one to be still alive and just somewhere on the earth, and you just don't know where they are. You've got to worry each day about what's happening, and are they all right, or do they need you to keep coming? Are they waiting for you, sort of thing? But knowing that most likely they have passed away somehow. So I think it's much more compassionate for them that, yeah, that's right. And because, Mark, it was very cold, the water was cold, that slows down that process of decomposition. And in cold water like that, yeah, bodies take a lot longer to come to the surface and come free. So yeah, that poor woman. And I'm so sickened. I'm so sickened by husband and by police. Just what they did to Nicola's privacy and her character by telling everybody about her menopause and about her alcohol misuse. Okay, I mean, maybe things would have come out because we would have discovered that on January the 10th there was a welfare call, and that's revealing enough as it is, right? And probably eventually someone would have, found what the deal was and revealed, the nature of that situation. But God, it just seems so unnecessarily cruel. Now, okay, perhaps they just thought that that from a professional standpoint, maybe they thought, no, oh, well, she's definitely dead. But wow, I mean, way to stop someone from wanting to come home, if they're alive and suffering and vulnerable. Yeah. We know we're going to have the palaver, aren't we? We're going to have the palaver about what, about the autopsy, and people will say, oh, they're lying, and, yeah. Anyway, I guess I didn't really have much to say. I just wanted to say about Julia, really, in this terrible, what I think is an absolute terrible situation. She's not the only girl to come out and say this. I believe she's genuinely mentally ill. And if there was some way that I could somehow put a force field around her and prevent anyone from being able to get at her and watch her TikToks or Instagrams or whatever, and to stop these psychics and these fake doctors and these ghouls and vampires from sucking her blood, taking her what life force that she does have, rather than just getting her help. I wish I could. I really wish I could. I know what it's like, okay, to have delusions. Now, have I gone on the world stage to talk about them? No. And it's a different world now, you know. But you've just got to just stop, slow it down, take it back to the facts. Sure, okay, 21, 19, yes, people would play around with ages to hide identities, but really when you're talking about a 4-year-old child, a just 4-year-old child, it's a stretch. It's a stretch to make them 6 years old. And then there's other things that come with them being 6 years old, because there's other obligations of what they need to be doing in the community, such as the education they're getting and things like that. And you can't forget, it's, you know, she wasn't a child like Sean and Emily, who truly were babies, toddlers, you know. She was the leader of the pack with them. She was a real rabble-rouser. And, yeah. But she had language. She had language, and she had passed that stage that, you know, there's all these transitional times in lives, just like you see with puppies who are blind and deaf, and then they learn balance and movement, and they get different brain development, and then eyes open up, and then they start learning socialization, and etc., etc. And it's exactly the same with children that beyond toddler, that are Madeleine's age. They now have a sense of self. They are not one with mother, father, whatever, individuals. They know they're individuals. And Madeleine was precocious. She could talk, okay, and she knew about her life. Now that makes it extremely difficult. So look, I'm just repeating what I said earlier, but I just want to really drive that home. Stop and bloody think, okay? And, you know, and okay, people are going to come up with all sorts of weird things, right? You know, Christian Bruckner did take her and somehow got it to this family. Why would he give it to the family? Why wouldn't he just kill her, right? And if there was an abduction because people wanted a child to raise as their own, there's these perfectly acceptable, non-verbal, still in this very specific stage, toddlers whom, you know, are ripe for molding, right? Whereas it's not going to be the same with Madeleine. They'd never, you know, where would they go? How would they live? You know? Okay, so, yeah. Anything else anyone wants to talk about or say or anything like that? No, well, thank you for popping in, everyone that did. I appreciate it. Mark, it's lovely to see you. How's your golf? I didn't play softball this year, but I'm trying to swim, and I'm trying to salsa dance. I'm really bad at both, but I haven't drowned yet, so that's good. Yeah. And it's steamy hot here. Don't know what the temperature is, but the humidity, the humidity. It's god awful. It makes it really difficult to do any activity at all. All anyone wants to do, I'm just about to go put an air conditioning unit on. No golf yet, but soon. Because it's probably still, do you get, is it frosty where you are? Yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody. Yeah, still it's not very, it wouldn't be ideal conditions. What did I want to say? I mean, there is a lot coming up. I know I haven't been making any content or anything. I'm going to start uploading on... Thank you, Mark. Yes, and Mark should be a mod because he is OG. I'm going to start a channel on Rumble because it's not censored. I just do less here now because it's just such a headache to censor yourself all the time and then to just give people that, look, I know I'm not likable most of the time, a lot of the time, but people that are just petty, small, whatever. It's too easy for them to harass you and give you trouble for your channel. So, but Rumble, you can be outspoken and uncensored. So I think I'm going to go over there and it'll be something like Humanimal channel. A couple of YouTube orphans, people that just, YouTube just doesn't accept them. It's just not an acceptable place. It's not the petri dish for them, right? It doesn't actually want free, it doesn't want, unless you are, this left-wing liberal, who seem to be able to say anything and bully anyone, you're really not allowed to have a say, to do with anything to do with the jibby-jabby and politics and, different human rights movements, and even, things to do with the things that I'm passionate about, which is, the treatment of children on this planet and the various ways that we're letting them down. And it's really hard to be, impassioned in everything when you are just so censored that it just takes away all of my spirit, all of my motivation to do anything. But yeah. And when, it's Yeoman, who, is on this channel and others often, he's a good supporter of this channel. He noticed once, actually, my YouTube subs showed one day it was on 2,500, right? Because it's been on, I never asked for subs, I'm not saying it's about that, but it's weird, right, that I can be for 1 year on the subs that I'm on now, right, for over a year probably. But then he says one day he looked at it and goes, did you know your subs are on 2,500? And then they and then he said, oh, it was really weird, and then it went 1,900, and then it was just back to the 15. And I mean, YouTube does play fuckery with you, right? And I mean, this is not why I do this. I just do this for myself. I never thought I'd have more than the 50 that I had before I started uploading videos, right? But of course, if I'm going to have an opinion, it's great to have an audience. It's great to reach people and to see what they think about things and to get their feedback and to get their ideas, because I'm always open to have my mind changed. and if I'm wrong, right? But you know, it's YouTube clearly plays silly buggers with this channel. It's very clear, and it is because of, I know, right, buffering, and it's my Wi-Fi is probably going to get worse. But yeah, no, you're one of the OGs. So I've made a mod now. Anyway, I'll let you go and take care, everybody. Yeah, in the comments you want to say about the situation with Julia and what you think about it, by all means. But yeah, my thoughts are that she's actually always been a troubled person, and that we'll probably find a long history where, you know, she's lived struggling in an unstable state. That's just my intuition about it all. All right, bye. See you later. Thanks for coming in.